Very good. All right. So Amanda, this is our first powerful parenting call. I am so excited to be working with you. I know that you're a beautiful powerhouse woman. I'd love to know just a little bit more about you. Tell me about, how old you are, where do you live, your children, how old they are, and basically, if you want, just share about your business and your mission with what you're doing with Westside Moms.
West University
West
Moms.
University.
It's okay. Yeah, so my name is Amanda Velasquez. I'm 41 years old. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but now I'm living in Houston, Texas. And I have two amazing little boys. The oldest one is almost 6. His name is Matthias. And the younger one is 2.5. His name is Emilio. I'm a single mom here. I was been divorced for about a year now. And let's see, I run a website called West University Moms. It's a local resource site for moms in Houston, and it brings together local resources and moms. We have an activity calendar, and we also have a weekly Meet a Mom interview where I highlight a working mom or a mom that's up to something in the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, so Matthias is how old?
He's almost 6.
He's almost 6. Okay, awesome. So he's 5 now, almost 6. And then Emilio is 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So we talked a little bit when we got to know each other about Powerful Parenting Academy and the program that I have. And you were like, yes, that's exactly what I need. So I'd love to know, where are you at now with your family? What's going on? I mean, we all have room for improvement. So this is by no means, and, it's like, that there's anything bad. It's just, what would you like to improve? So where are you at now? And tell me where you are now. Let's start with that first.
Right. So I'm divorced, as I mentioned, and we have, I would say that I have them about 70% of the month. So, they're with me throughout the week, and they're 2 little wild boys. They're very sweet, but I feel like I have, like a loss of power. There is definitely like a lack of control in some areas. When they get wound up together, it's like, it's really hard to stop them. And I'm a very mellow, low key person, but I, notice when no one's listening to me, again and again, I get really frustrated, and I yell to get them to stop or to get them to listen. And I lose my temper, which is just not, how I want to be. I really want to be peaceful.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I really want to work on is having more order. I just feel like they don't pick up after themselves really. In the morning, it's just chaos. It just feels very chaotic and stressful.
Okay. And just to reiterate, like, I want you to know that the things that you're going through, I mean, I have 6 children. This is all very common.
Yes.
So we've all been there, especially because having younger children will bring in a lot of that uncertainty. So it is very common. And now I know that you're a woman who believes in personal development, you want to provide the best family for your children, the best environment for your children. And so because of that is that we're working together to make sure that happens. When you say that they get kind of routed up, what do you mean exactly? Like, is it that they start fighting, or they start roughhousing, or they're like throwing toys? Like, what does that look like?
Roughhousing, which also includes throwing toys, but it's not like they're like zooming cars, which are, like ricocheting off the walls. And they roughhouse. They're little boys and they love to play.
Yeah. And then that just is like, for you being mellow, it's like, oh, I don't know with all that noise, right?
Yeah. And then things are hitting the wall. I'm worried about chipping the paint or breaking something. And the little one, Amelia, will get hurt a lot because he's
his brother's a little older.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And did they have this behavior before? Like, I mean, how long have you been divorced?
Well, we've been divorced a year, but he was younger, so he's just really like a brute. He loves to roughhouse. So the older he gets and the more capable he gets, the more they're starting to do it.
Got it. So Emilio, you're saying he's more of the roughhouse?
Yes.
Roughhousing. Okay, great. All right. So you've just noted that they started to do it. Is there any particular time when they do it more often? Like, do you see any trends of like
At night.
at night, right when they're supposed to lay down?
Yeah, so
They're the
there's,
most
yeah,
tired.
right.
Okay.
And like the bath time gets crazy, water everywhere. I mean, just really, really wild.
Okay, great. So tell me what you would like to see instead.
I would
Obviously,
like,
within reason of like the fact that
yeah,
they're two and two and was five.
yeah, I would like to see them listen to me without me having to, yell and kind of like lose my cool.
Mhm.
Because then that scares, well, it scares Matthias. I mean, he gets upset by it, he'll cry. I would like more order in the house. So when I say, okay, in the morning, like, let's get up, let's get dressed, we're going to school. So I'm not the one who's running around doing everything,
Mhm.
and rolling up to their school looking like a mess because
Right.
I don't have the, yeah, the time to.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, so you'd like them to listen to you more without you having to yell. So you speak at your normal tone of voice and they listen and they're like, yes, mommy, just get that, right? And
Yes.
then you would like to get more order specifically in the morning so that there's more
Yes.
of a routine and that even at
Hmm.
their young age, they take a little bit more engagement or involvement
Yeah.
in responsibility and
Right.
the fact that they have to get there on time. Okay,
Yes.
sounds good. So what happens when all, like, moving back a little bit, when there's a loss of power, the lack of control, the mellow, low key, frustration, what do you feel for yourself? Like, what do you feel about yourself?
Like when I lose my temper
Yeah,
or
like what happens
before.
with the thoughts? No, after, like, what are the thoughts that come over your mind? It take,
Oh, I feel bad. I feel guilty.
Mhm.
I feel, yeah, it's like guilty. Like I should have been able to do that better. Um, then it's like, then I'm replaying it. Well, they just kept pushing me and pushing me.
Right.
They weren't listening.
You're justifying.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then it's like, why am I letting it, get me so angry?
right. Okay, and then before, like when you see it begin to happen, does it feel like a slow motion, like, oh, there it's happening again? Are you even aware of it, or does it just like, oh my gosh, it happened?
Both. I'll be saying like, stop, guys. Hey, guys, I said stop. Hey, guys, I said something. They're like, I said stop. And then it scares. I mean, they stop when I do that,
Right.
but I don't want to. Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sounds very good. So when I asked you what else would you want in terms of what you'd want from them or what you want the family to look like, it's you want them to listen to you without yelling, you want more order in the morning. What else would you want?
Um, I would want to have more fun.
Okay.
Instead of it seeming like a lot, sometimes it seems like a chore. Like they want me to build a paper airplane. There's a lot of demands,
Yeah.
and sometimes I just feel really irritated. Like, why are you asking me to do all of these things? I just want to, chill out or whatever. So I would like to be able to be, yes, I'd love to make a paper airplane, or just enjoy being, the simplicity of playing with kids.
Okay. You would like to enjoy the simplicity of being with them.
Yes.
Do you feel like you enjoy them enough now? Or do you feel like because of all the stuff that's going on, you're not able to enjoy them as much as you'd want?
Yeah, and also since I work from home, and I don't have a lot of time by myself because my youngest son gets picked up at 11:15. I end up staying up late working after they go to sleep, or I'm trying to cram it into the day when they're around, and I notice that will irritate me. Like, oh, let me get this email out, and my son's asking me something, and the multitasking I think makes me irritable.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So that's all very good because it gives me, just a good
Yeah.
understanding of what's going on. And as a family coach, and having raised 6 children, like I said, this is very normal. It's you're going through the routine, and it's like getting comfortable in this new role that you have, and parenting is one of those things that it's not like they give you, okay, here, you're going to do this job, you're going to be a cash register, and then that job never changes, right? It always looks the same way. With parenting, it's a job that's always changing. It's every time they get a little bit older and they're getting older, it's like, oh, your job changes, because now you have to adapt to what they're doing. You have to adapt to what's happening. And it's like, if you have to adapt to one, now you have to adapt to two, or other people have to adapt to 3 to 4, whatever. So it's a constant adapting, where if we try to do the same thing and hold on to that formula or that strategy that we have, and it doesn't work, it's because they've continued to change, but we haven't continued.
Okay, right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So what are you hearing when I say that?
I'm hearing, well, it's funny because when you were saying that, I immediately thought of how my son, Matthias, is adapting. And it's something that I didn't mention, is that he's 6, but I feel like he's going on like 13 or 14.
Oh, wow.
And he's starting to talk kind of like maybe how he sees in TV shows, or I'm not, with a little bit of attitude, and I'm not used to that at all. So that's a whole another, like, okay, now I have to adapt to that, because when someone gives me attitude, like my response is be like, hey, or, and get a little bit jolted by it. Yeah. And yeah, I mean,
and thank you for saying that. So what I mean by adapting is not that you adjust.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, well, you're adapting, therefore I conform to you. No.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just adapting, meaning that there is an action that you take responsibility for. And it could very well be, hey, we don't do that in this house.
Right.
But it's being consciously aware. Like, it's kind of like they have a ball and you're on the other side. You're playing dodgeball or something. They throw the ball, you grab it.
Mm-hmm.
You grab the ball, you throw it back. They grab it, they throw it, as opposed to you throw it, oh, damn it, I got hit. Now I'm going to slam it that way or something.
Right.
It's more like, oh, or playing tennis. Think of it more like playing tennis. Like the person is, hits the ball with the racket, and then you adapt, meaning you go and you go, okay, I got to do this now to make this work. Then they throw it a different way. Then you move through the court and you hit the ball with the racket to adjust to their behavior. But it's not that you're allowing the behavior. You're just simply moving in different directions, understanding that we have to be flexible.
Yes.
Just as much, because flexibility of behavior wins. You know why children always seem to have that control? Because they're flexible. They will find a million ways to think about how to go around, because they're learning to survive this world.
Right. So
in learning to survive and function in the everyday world, they're saying, mommy just did this, but I want this. How can I get mommy to do this?
Right.
So figure out what works, and they're constantly trying new things, exerting flexibility of behavior. Whereas you, being older, we have one way of seeing things, and it's like, I'm going to stick to that one way.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we have to be flexible. Right. And it's interesting because at the same time, we have to be consistent.
Yeah.
So I know it's a balancing act. Being a parent is not an easy task, and that, you find the flexibility, but then when you find those principles that do work, we have to be consistent.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a paper and pen handy?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you a lesson that is perfect for the age of your children. And I learned this when my little ones were little, and it was a lifesaver. I've taught it to a whole bunch of children. They love it. They thrive when they learn. And it is, how do you obey?
Okay.
Okay. So a lot of times we expect our children to obey, but we don't necessarily teach them how to obey.
Right.
It's like, you need to obey. Listen to me. Okay, mom, I'm listening, but I don't know what that means, right? So they need to understand how to obey mommy. Okay. And when we say obeying, it's not, you're being forceful or anything. It's just, there's a submission, there's a surrendering, like we obey the traffic laws. Right. There's rules to keep us safe. And it's the same way with you. We want to make sure that there creates this respect and dynamic between parent and child, where you're safe and the child is safe. And these rules, if you would, guidelines, are
Yeah.
there to keep everyone safe and in a beautiful working relationship. Okay? So you're going to teach them how to obey. And it's very cool. It's the 3 C's.
Okay.
Actually, 3 C's. Yep, it's 3 C's, but one is a Q, but it sounds like a C. So you obey quickly, completely, and cheerfully. So you obey quickly, completely, and cheerfully. I used to love to dramatize this for them. So I would be standing and I say, you obey quickly. And then I would play that out for them. And it's like, okay, Matthias, can you please go pick up the table? And I was like, slow. And I would say, that's not how we obey.
Right.
You obey quickly. And then you show them the quickly. Like, what does that look like? Okay. So then you go, you obey completely. That means pick up the table. If there's 3 plates on the table, that means all the 3 plates on the table. Not one, not 2, completely. All of them.
And then put them in the trash, or put them in, don't just put them on the side, complete it, put it where it's supposed to go.
Right, complete. Yeah. And that's the next step that we'll be working on. That's with Matthias, because he's a little older, he definitely can grasp the idea of multiple obedience things.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas the little one, Emilio,
yes,
he it's going to take a little longer because he's thinking one task. Okay.
Right.
So if you do tell Matthias, Matthias, pick up the table, you're not so much wanting to make sure that he gets it perfect.
Yes.
Right now, you're just wanting to teach him the concept of obedience, and that obedience is obeying completely, meaning not completing the task. Yes, completing the task, but more like that it's whatever that task is. Like if it's pick up the dishes from the table and put them in the kitchen, then that's a completed task. It's the whole thing, whatever that is. If it's pick up the toys from the floor, it doesn't mean leave 5 on the floor and 3 put away. It's completely. And the last one is cheerfully. So cheerfully is always with a smile, right? Because there's times when you may not want to do something, but you do it joyfully. You do it with them. You do it because you love them. And so imagine if you were well, pick up the table and you're I don't want to do it. How would they like it? So you just dramatize that for them, make it kind of funny where they can realize yeah, that doesn't look really good when I'm I don't want to do it. So you tell them it's quickly, completely, and cheerfully. And they need to memorize, how do you obey? You obey quickly, completely, and cheerfully. And so for the next next 7 to 10 days, that's going to be the main lesson that you're working on with them. Okay? The conversation just basically today when you pick them up from school and you're having lunch or dinner, you say, hey, you know what? Today I learned something really cool and I hadn't learned this before. And you know how mommy has been screaming and I don't like to scream because you guys, I love you and you're so important to me. So I learned something that is going to even help me. I'm going to obey quickly, completely, and cheerfully. And you guys are going to too. So we're all going to work on this. And, we have to obey with the 3 C's: quickly, completely, and cheerfully. Quickly, completely, and cheerfully. And then you dramatize it for them, whatever.
Yeah.
And then let's say it is dinner. And then you're kind of as a game, you'll be all right, let's practice that. Okay. We're going to obey quickly. We're going to obey completely. We're going to obey cheerfully. And it's quickly, completely, cheerfully, quickly, completely, cheerfully. And then constantly explain. And then let's say they do something where it's time to get them in the shower. It's all right, guys, we're going to get in the shower. It's going to be orderly. That's another thing that sometimes we don't give children the guidelines of how we want them to behave prior to the behavior.
Gotcha.
So what I mean by that is okay, how do children normally behave in a restaurant? You tell me.
Oh, mine?
Well, not yours necessarily. But
well, yeah, sometimes mine are just wild. They're not.
Okay. So you already know they're wild.
Yes.
Okay. So you already know they're wild. Do you ever before, while you're in the car, prep them into what proper behavior looks like?
Yes.
Okay. What do you tell
them? We're going somewhere. I need, you need to be, you can't be crazy. I kind of say what they can't, like, don't, we can't have a lot of yelling. We have to be respectful. And I'll say that too, like if we're going to someone's house, it's their house, we have to be respectful.
Okay. So that's great. The other tip that I have for you today is, besides teaching them to obey quickly, completely, or cheerfully, is make sure that when you're giving them those guidelines, I love the fact that you're giving them guidelines. By the way, you're saying we're going to somebody's house, blah, blah, blah. But expect more of the behavior that you want to see.
Right.
Okay. Express that more than the behavior you don't want to see. So yesterday I was at a family intervention with, they have a teenage son that's 13 years old. And I said, well, what are you going to do to support your family? And he said, I'm going to argue less. And I said, well, what image comes to your mind when you say you're going to argue less? He goes, me arguing. I said, exactly. I said, so what can we do instead? He goes, well, I can be more relaxed. I said, okay, perfect. So the words we use create images in our mind. And they create images in our mind and our children's mind. So if you tell them, like, okay, Matias and Emilio, we are going to a restaurant, okay? We want you to put your hands on the sides of the table. We want you to stay calm. We want you, I want you to be patient and, wait if we're having a conversation with other adults that you're patient there. Want you to be in your best behavior, okay? And just listen to mommy, and I will speak to you sometimes with my eyes, sometimes with my overall face, like help them to understand that body language is one way to communicate as well. Because you might be like, they might be like, idea, so you don't have to even talk.
Right.
The less that they have to get used to paying attention and listening to you without even any words.
Right.
So that you can get to. So now we've talked about two things that you can implement. First, making sure that the guidelines you give them are very much around what you want to see instead of what you don't want to see.
Yes.
Because when you say don't yell, they're thinking yelling.
Yeah, I say don't be crazy, and that doesn't make sense.
Be crazy,
Right.
Stop, don't be crazy, stop, like that doesn't say. It's just be more peaceful, and you're in charge. So you can turn on classical music. Classical music is a beautiful tool to get children to wind down.
Right.
Okay? So you support the environment.
Okay.
The change that you want to see in them. So nighttime routine, definitely bring in some classical music, maybe a candle. So you're creating the atmosphere. Like, when you walk into a spa, you're like,
yeah.
Because there's just something about us that understands this environment is cohesive to this behavior.
Gotcha.
Right. And so you're creating that same kind of calm. If you have some lavender oil.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
You're creating that environment even before, because you need to allow the environment to
like the descent.
To help them adjust. Right.
Yeah.
So you become more calm and you say, okay, it's going to be fine. Even if it's not, you just say it's going to be fine. We're learning. This is part of the process. Okay. So first is using those words that are going to support what you want to see, teaching them to obey quickly, completely, and cheerfully. And then last but not least, it's teaching them to pay attention.
Okay.
So children are not going to obey unless they've been trained to listen.
Okay.
Attention. So when you're saying stop, they're not hearing you.
Right.
Now you've already trained them to yell. When you yell, that's when they listen.
Right.
Has it ever happened that Matias was younger and he was like, Mom, you're like with your girlfriends and at a birthday party or something, he's like, Mommy, 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 and you ignore him? And it's not until he's like, Amanda. That used to happen.
Right.
They would call me by my first name. Shirley. I was like, oh, what? Because, they're like, and then we can
tune them out. Right.
Out. So they learn to tune us out.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, my dog was right over here.
It's all right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He'll be asking for things, and I'm kind of zoned out. And right.
So they understand, there's a way to zone others out when you don't want to pay attention, right? So they've learned the same thing. And in essence, you want to teach them to pay attention to your voice. So you could practice something like, okay, and let them know, like get on their level and just say, look, whenever I speak, you're going to listen, okay? Like,
Yeah.
and show them you have a dog. You notice how dogs or even horses, whenever you speak to a dog or a horse, their ears, depending on if they kind of move forward.
Right.
That's paying attention. They get attentive to the sounds of your voice. So you could use the example of the dog or the horse and just saying, that's how we want to be. And a big part of this program, Amanda, is taking responsibility for the fact that we haven't. So for instance, you know, if you've learned to tune them out, we want to take responsibility and say, look, sometimes you talk to me and I don't hear you.
Yeah.
But I am going to work on being attentive to when you speak.
Yes.
The first time.
Okay.
So that when you can also be attentive to when I speak.
Okay.
Right? And so let's say you're telling them, hey guys, it's time to go to shower. It's time to take your bath, like bath time. And they're like, you know, and you keep doing what you're doing over here, being a maniac, trying to get it all done.
Yeah.
I want you to pause. And that's not the right strategy. We're going to go to where they are. You're going to get down on their level, grab them by their beautiful little shoulders. Like just let them know that you can either put your hands on their face like this or on their shoulders and just say, hey, sweetie, it's time for our showers. Listen to when I speak to you, okay? Be attentive to my voice. So that's kind of your key word.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Because that was like last night, like I was trying to clean up, I was trying to make lunch, and I was telling them to get in the bath at the same time, and they just weren't getting in the bath. Yeah, they weren't doing it at all.
Yeah, when they're younger like that, Amanda, we want to make sure that you are focused in supporting whatever they're doing until it becomes a routine and they can do it on their own.
Gotcha.
That makes sense? Okay. So I know we've talked about quite a few, 3 tips here of things that you can do. So if you can tell them back to me and in your own words, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set guidelines, and I'm going to tell them what I want, like the behavior that I want, like in a positive way instead of a negative. And I put some examples, like, when we go into the restaurant, you're going to put your hands on your lap. We're going to be calm. You're going to pay attention to what I'm saying and to my body language. The next one is the 3 C's with quickly, completely, and cheerfully. And I'm going to be practicing that for the next 7 to 10 days, and then
so the
forever.
The 3, yeah, exactly. The 3 C's are basically what? It's the
quickly, completely, and cheerfully. So, being able to complete tasks or complete. Obeying, yes.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Awesome. All right.
And then the next thing that I wrote is supporting the environment. So I put like if we want to segue into nighttime routine, classical music, some lavender oil, and like, kind of making it the environment that's going to support what we're doing.
Very good. Yes. Awesome. And very last one?
Maybe I didn't, being attentive or kind of like coming clean with how I haven't been totally, I zone out because, they talk a lot. So sometimes I zone out, but like coming clean with them that, that I do zone out, and that from now on, I'm going to really listen, and I'm going to show them the example with our dog who's right there, and how when we talk to her, her little ears perk up, and kind of show them that, and show them I'm going to be doing that with them, and that I want them to do that with me as well. Like getting down on their level, like their physical level, and yeah.
Very good, perfect. And so in getting them to hear you, it's understanding that we want to do the opposite, right? Instead of yelling,
right?
That's the way you've trained them. We're going to train them to pay attention to your nonverbal language,
right?
More, and your words. So that's why you're like going down to their level and say, sweetie, look at me. And they don't start talking to him. It's like, look at me. Look at me.
Mhm.
Stop. Look at me. Mommy's talking to you. Okay.
Right.
Remember what mommy said? Mommy said blah, 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 blah. Okay. Or I don't know what mommy said. Like he's got the deer in the headlights look. Like, I don't know what mommy said. It's like, okay, mommy says it's time for bath. It's bath time. How can I help you so that you can be over there? And he might be like, you know, he might be the face like, I don't know how you can help me, but just saying, okay, do you need me to walk you there? Do you need, what needs to happen so that you can obey quickly, completely, and cheerfully? Can you do that now? Yes. Okay.
Gotcha.
So like bring it down. Even your breathing, you're modeling, you're creating that rapport with him, nonverbal rapport, which is you relax. Now you've created the external environment with the candles and the candle and the music. Like now you're modeling additionally by like lowering your tone of voice, your face being relaxed. So all of that is modeling. This is transition time, and they will model that. So very good. Any questions?
No, this is great. It's really interesting. And I'm even seeing like how last night, so I guess what's there for me is I'm just always trying, there's so much to do that it's like, the reason I, don't do these things is because I'm also trying to clean, or I'm also trying to pack I'm trying to get ahead, and that is what is, I guess, getting in the way of me being present, because I'm just trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
Or stay on top of things.
Right. I'm from Ecuador, and it's Spanish, and a lot of in Spanish we have a lot of sayings that are around the when we do things faster, it really makes it go slower.
Right.
So there's one saying that says el apuro trae cansancio, like the rush brings tiredness.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything like that in English, but I'm sure we do. There's always those kind of sayings, but my English version of it, like what I always tell my clients is we're gonna slow down to speed up.
Gotcha.
So you know how today we like speed up to speed up? No,
Yes.
we're gonna slow down to speed up.
Okay.
And what that means is if you think about it, if you just focus on the bath time and whatever, once they're done, you're going to be able to do your task of dishes and laundry and all that in a much neater way. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually you'll be able to get them involved in helping you clean.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So we can get them to do that.
Yes.
So right now, depending on what you prefer, like you might say, well, I want them to have their bath time. But children who are unsupervised will do whatever they want, especially so the best option, if you ask me, would be to get them to help you. Like kids love to use cleaning products.
Right, I know.
Like, here, get this little ball, even if it's water, it's like, here, get the spray and wipe the whole house. Like even if they're not doing a perfect job, you can train them and say, okay, all the way from the end to the end to the end. So just taking those extra 5 minutes to train them on what to do after that way, you're buying time. They're quote unquote busy, but they're learning a chore and a task.
Right.
Their time is being productive. So meanwhile, you're like, okay, let's say they're done with the cleaning. You're still cleaning up the kitchen, and now you can put Matias to do dishes if you could.
Right.
Do this, get a little stool. And then you could tell Emilio, like, here, put this garbage here, or tie up this bag or whatever. And then here's lunch. Why don't you put this in a bag? Put the name here, put your initials, like whatever, but just keep it busy so that it can buy you that time so that you can do whatever you do. And then you all transition. And that could already be the perfect time to play the classical music.
Yeah.
And the candle, and just show them how you create a transition time. And they say, okay, let's all go to bath time.
I love that.
It will definitely, because I was thinking the other alternative was like, okay, you go get them into bath, give them their bath, and then they lay down. They're going to start jumping.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, I can't clean because they're jumping. So if
Yeah.
you're involved, I think it's a
Right.
better routine.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Because I've been trying to just, like, if I'm cleaning up or whatever, they'll start going crazy or, you know, throwing things, and I'm trying to clean faster or rush. But I love, yeah, getting them involved.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's the other thing. I think I just, you know,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
as moms, we have a way, you know, we went from being single where everything was perfect, and we live in the United States where it's a Pinterest world.
right.
And everything looks beautiful, and it's like, you know, magazine look, and
Yeah.
and having children isn't like that.
No.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a transition. Yeah. It's, you know, we do want to teach them that it does have to look nice, but they can be part of it. Because when they are a part of it, they take ownership.
That's, I know, that's what I'm really getting as well, because I don't want them to grow up where, you know, I'm the one who does everything, and then they don't learn, to do any of the,
So we're going to be working together over the next couple of months.
Yes.
So there's going to be plenty of time. I want you to know that when I give you these tasks, they don't have to be perfect. You know, you just do the best that you can. You'll remember it. Like, just choose one thing. Today, I would work on attentiveness.
Okay.
You know, attentiveness meaning they come home and you say, okay, mommy is wanting to make sure that you listen when I speak. I'm going to speak lower. I'm sorry for not having paid attention to you. I'm sorry for training you to listen to me only when I yell. That's not my intention. I want to make sure that you listen to me with this tone of voice, exactly this tone of voice that I am using right now, because this is mommy's loving tone of voice.
Yeah.
So you notice how, like, I'm moving my head and like a little bit of a trance there.
Yes, like, I'm like getting really relaxed.
Right, it's exactly that. Like, mommy, you know, is going to be speaking to you like this, and you are going to pay attention when mommy speaks like this. Because when mommy yells, you don't like that. It's just
right.
Like this. And then you now know to apply the candles, the transition, get them involved. And then in next week's call, we're going to talk a little bit about the power of videos. And then in 2 weeks, we'll move into module 1, which is create culture that you want to create in the family. So what I'm giving you today are more of those practical tips so that things can start working right away. But we're going to get it to where they get solid and stronger foundations, and we can move towards helping them understand the kind of culture that you have in your family. You know, there's a culture everywhere we go.
Yes.
Right? And so we go to Disney World, there's things you do there. There you go to Guatemala, there's things we do there. Mexico, even Florida, Florida, Texas, like they're different.
Right.
You know, you do the same thing, but you almost don't. You know, there's things that are different. So within that, we want to show them what a culture is, and I would love to show you the power of having a culture in your family and making the kids a part of that. So that's coming up, but in the meantime, just do the best you can with what we've talked about. I'm always just a text away. If you have a quick question, if you want to just send me like a voice message and say, Shirley, I've tried this, it quite didn't work, because I want to make sure that we're making those adjustments as you're implementing them. Like if you tried something and it didn't work, it's like, okay, we'll try this. You know, maybe, oh yeah, well, it was because you said it this way. And, you know, you could try this. Got it? Okay, sounds good. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
This was awesome. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's going to be wonderful. What is your number one takeaway from this?
The number one takeaway is definitely to slow down, and to slow down around them, and to just to be present and to speak at their level, and really be attentive to them and have them be attentive to me.
Good.
Yeah.
And why is that important?
Because that is the kind of communication that I want to foster in the home and with them, and how, you know, that's how I want them to see me, because that's how I am, and how I want them, you know, I want them to be calm individuals as well, and not, you know, thinking that they need to yell or, you know, do something to get my attention or to get other people's attention.
Very good. And so it's important to you that they're calm individuals. Why? Because why?
Because they're going to come across all different types of people as they get older in situations, and you know, keeping calm and composed is definitely, you know, a smarter way to be, and a happier way than being reactive and yeah.
Okay, very good. You're thinking.
Yes.
What were you thinking?
Oh, no, I was just thinking like it's better for them to be able, like non-reactive is what I was thinking. Yeah. And then I was thinking my children are such awesome little guys, and they go to a great school. So, you know, the school does their part, you know, and I really have to do my part as well. I mean, I'm a great mom, of course, and, you know, it's just a little, there needs to be a little tweaking.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this time, Amanda. I will.
Thank you, Shirley.
It's my pleasure. Let's do this again next week.
Okay.
Time, and we'll go from there. Sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm excited.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way. Okay, so next week we will get into the Power Up videos.
Okay.
So I'm going to check in your progress with what you've learned this week. And then next week when we talk, we'll get into the Power Up videos, which is basically, you know, where do you feel you are? Are you surviving? Are you stable? Are you thriving? Which with these tools that you've learned today, you might very well be in the stable part. Who knows?
Okay, good.
And we're also going to talk about how your children are your projection of you.
Yes.
Okay, which obviously we discussed that a little bit here, because you being anxious,
right,
you know, all the stuff that has to be done could have been transferring, but now you're going to pause. But we'll get deeper into that, and we're going to talk about the mindsets of a powerful parent. Sounds good?
Ooh, like it. Yes. Thank you.
Alrighty. Talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.